I'd like to call the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded. I would ask if there's anyone else recording this meeting. Seeing none, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any citizens' comments this evening? Seeing none, we will skip the special recognition for now.
I know, we can actually do this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to special recognition.
Very happy to report, it was just a few weeks ago that Miss Bailey, who was our rocket band director, who came to seek permission to attend their first competition. And as noted in here, it was the first one that they'd ever participated in. As reported by Ms. Bailey, they received high scores in all categories and awards for Best Visual Design, Best Effect, and Best Music, as well as first place in Division 2A. So I wanted to just bring that to your attention and thank you again for your support of the Rocket Band. It really is outstanding. So congratulations to them as well.
Any comments? No? All right, move on to, I would seek approval of the minutes of our last meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. Student representatives report.
Alright, so you kind of took my biggest point about the marching band getting their first place award in their very first competition. So that was actually the first time that Auburn has competed like in an actual competition in Auburn's history. So it was pretty cool to be a part of that. We also have another competition on Saturday at at Bay Path. This is the MICA competition. So this should be a little bit more competitive. So we're looking forward to that. Field hockey, we are at an 8-1
Record.
Yeah, record. Couldn't think of the word. We played today. We beat Oxford 7-2. So strong team so far.
So as far as things going at the school, just recently we had our welcome back assembly, which was one of the first assemblies that we've ever had like outside. It was on like the bleachers where the underclassmen and juniors sat in the bleachers and seniors sat in the middle of the football field in the A. And at the assembly we did like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge where students dumped buckets of water and ice on our teachers, and it was kind of cool to see. And then next week we have it's homecoming week, so we have our class spirit days Tuesday through Friday, and then Saturday I believe is the dance and sports games going on all weekend. And the golf team made districts this year, and we beat Northbridge today in our match.
Excellent.
Wow.
Very good. Any questions or comments?
Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you very much. If you want to take off and go do your homework and grab a bite to eat.
It's not like we
That would be
want
great.
to do our homework. We have to do our homework.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
We'll now go back to special recognitions.
So this is a wonderful night. We have lots of great news to be shared, and would ask if Mrs. Lopez, who's the principal of the Julie Bancroft School, would go to the podium just to be recognized as the representative of the Julie Bancroft School. As I made you aware, they were selected as a National Blue Ribbon School. This is a very prestigious honor, only one of, I believe, 337 schools across the entire nation that Julie Bancroft was recognized for closing achievement gaps, and had the opportunity to attend, and I will let Mrs. Lopez share, a great ceremony that had been coordinated. A couple members were in attendance. It was really thrilling. It was a surprise to the students as well, and I give huge kudos to Mrs. Lopez, to the entire team, and quite honestly to all of the individuals, the many who came before, because these improvements take time. And it really is a reflection, I think, of the work that the entire district is committed to, but certainly taking nothing away from Mrs. Lopez and Julia Bancroft. So congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know if I didn't have prepared words for you. I think to explain, a couple of the school committee members were present. It was exciting when we finally did get our word from Secretary Duncan that we were a National Blue Ribbon School. So it's quite an honor for the town of Auburn, but especially for the staff and students and families of Julia Bancroft. We had a surprise assembly once I had gotten official word. So the following day, Dr. Brunel, Dr. Lozay, Principal Chamberlain from Bryn Mawr, who is our feeder school, if you excuse the pun, but all of the work that goes into preparing the students for Julia Bancroft, as well as other elementary administrators were present when the students and staff came down. So it was our second assembly of the day. We had our PTO kickoff that day, so I think the staff was a little put out at the beginning to be disrupted and have to come down to another assembly that they had no idea what for. And when they came in, there were blue streamers that were given to them, and I think they started to put pieces together. And as I began to talk and give a little bit of the background of the work that goes into this award and then the work that went into the application process with the help of Dr. Brunel, Dr. Lozay, and Beth Chamberlain, as well as Karen Berkowitz, it was a pretty extensive application process. And then finally I was able to give them the good news and celebrate after, and it was wonderful, and I think the staff appreciated it. I've gotten great feedback from parents and the community and community officials and government officials, so it's been a great pleasure to bring this honor and this celebration to Auburn. So.
Excellent.
I do want to add, yeah, absolutely. Congressman McGovern, I know, made a personal phone call to both you and I to congratulate, recognizing the honor that this is. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
It really is. Any questions or comments?
It was an amazing day. Actually, I get goosebumps thinking about it. It was so fun. It was well done. So, congratulations to both of you. And you.
All of us, it's everybody.
Yeah,
It's a whole effort.
it's really an honor for the district, it really is, that's wonderful.
I would say anytime you could be recognized on a national stage, that's huge. We know what you do day in and day out is excellent, but to be recognized in that way, it's really fantastic. And for that, I congratulate you and I congratulate the entire district.
Thank you.
Very proud.
I think we don't take the opportunities all that often to recognize and really celebrate all the hard work and all of the great things that happen in education, nationwide, statewide, and especially in Auburn, because there's so many great things, thousands of great things that happen daily. And to have this honor is just one of those things that draws attention and light to all that we do in education. So
It is. After each accomplishment, we're already moving on to the next one.
That's
We don't
right.
have good time to really enjoy it, but this time we did.
and we'll enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
I'll come back after November when we get the official placard.
Perfect.
Pieces. I'll bring
Is
it back
there a
to
money
you.
award that goes with it, or?
I wish there was that I could bring back and say, look, Auburn, no worries. I don't think so.
No.
But we put you on the map a little
That's
bit
right.
more, so.
Yeah.
Perfect.
A really
Maybe
well
they'll
done
come that way.
celebration. You could tell that the kids were so proud of themselves. So
They were.
great.
Great job.
Excellent.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
And we have actually additional good news to share. I know Dr. Lozay will address it in her PowerPoint, but we'll invite the principals back to next meeting, which will be next week. We actually have 2 of our schools who are recognized as commendation schools for closing achievement gaps, 2 of only 42 across the state of Massachusetts, which is phenomenal news as well. So just great things happening. Great things happening.
Excellent. And that's it for special recognitions.
It is for tonight, yes.
Okay, I would seek approval of the September 17th minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion
Do
to
I have
approve
a
the
second?
minutes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. We now move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item, Mr. Hanfield is actually here to speak on behalf of Ms. Maria Barrios, a science teacher at Auburn High School, seeking permission for them to attend a field trip in Worcester, Connecticut, which is out of state. The information was included in your packet, so if you have any questions, we will do our best to answer them. She had planned to attend last week, with the meeting being rescheduled, was unable to do so tonight. They have, just for your awareness, they have made this trip in the past and you have approved them doing so.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Hanfield? No? Mr. Hanfield, did you want to share anything?
No.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
No, I'm good.
All right, well, I think we have all the information we need. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Any questions, comments, discussion?
Looks like a fun trip.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next, we have a special guest here this evening who has presented to us before, Mr. John Smolensky from MIMSI, which stands for the Massachusetts Mathematics and Science Initiative. Here, quite honestly, to share more good news about things that are happening, this in particular being at the high school, but certainly with connections to the middle school where they start some of the pre-AP work and continue that through the high school.
Thank you, Superintendent, members of the committee. I think last time I was here, the kids were briefing their Aruba trip, so I do remember my last visit here. Well, we have some great and exciting news to report. We're very fortunate to have partnered with Auburn High School for 2 years now, so I'm going to go through these rather quickly. You do have some handouts. So we knew that when we came here that many more kids could take advantage of the most rigorous curriculum, that being advanced placement. We've absolutely done that. The performance has been phenomenal. And all of our data shows that they'll be much more successful in college based on what they're doing at Auburn High School. So again, an advanced placement course, university level freshman course that you take in high school, national exam at the end, everybody in America takes the same test, same date, same time, corrected by the same people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you hear me talk about qualifying scores, that's a 3 or higher on the exam where you can gain credit. So for instance, a 3 on the AP Language and Composition course is worth 6 college credits at Worcester State. And we're in a number of schools, to include a number of schools in your area, Leicester, North Brookfield, and this year we're at Bay Path and Oxford. We provide a number of supports for your teachers, a summer institute, 5 days at Bridgewater State in August. We also provide content director support and consultant support, so master teachers that work with your teachers. We provide an exam fee subsidy. The big one is Saturday student study sessions. So a quick number that I would like to throw at you is that last year 520 students walked through the door on a Saturday to prepare for the advanced placement course. It equates to over 3,000 extra instructional hours. You folks are in the 3rd year of a 3-year program. There is a sustainment program that I'll be talking to the superintendent and Casey on for the follow-on years. If you elect, you can continue with the elements like the Saturdays to keep it going, new students every year. I think we can do it for less than you're spending now, which is probably a good thing. And so, again, we can talk about that later. But and so our data shows that 86% of the students that participate in our program persist in college. What's that mean? It means you don't flunk out after the freshman year. You go on to the sophomore year. Too many kids don't. 1 in 3 that go to a community college or graduate, that's in 4 years. About half the kids that go to a public 4-year university graduate in 6 years. So what are you guys doing? So red is before you embarked on this journey with us. Blue is afterwards. A 3-year increase in enrollment. This is just math, science, English. You have a variety of other great advanced placement courses, have many of the same benefits. But 216 enrollments. So enrollments, some students take more than 1. They might take 2 or 3. And then this is the really big one, scoring. Qualifying score 3 or higher in an advanced placement course. You can see where you were remarkably consistent from 2008 to 2012 between 42 and 58 qualifying scores. Big jump in 2013 with 112. Bigger jump still to 146. Very anxious to see what you're going to do on the 2015 exam. When we break this down, we look at male students in English. We look at female students, girls in STEM courses. The female students at Auburn are just absolutely doing a phenomenal job, up to 55 qualifying scores in STEM subjects in 2014, setting themselves up to go on perhaps in STEM careers. Exciting stuff. Low-income students at an increasing level are taking on the challenge of advanced placement and scoring tremendously well. And this is where Casey had to explain to me afterwards why all the kids laughed when I said that at your AP kickoff pep rally that we did that your scores are taking off like a rocket ship with a vertical ascendancy, and I didn't realize that you were the Rocketeers. So let me explain the slide for a second. We can template a lot of data on one page by taking the number of scores 3 or higher per 1,000 students. So blue is the United States of America, Orange is Massachusetts. Not surprising that Massachusetts has better results than the United States of America. Your school in green has taken off like a rocket ship, and almost a vertical ascendancy. And I think we'll need to get a bigger piece of paper to template you on next year. Highlights: 140% increase in enrollment over the 3 years that you've been working with us. This is just math, science, English. A 211% increase in STEM enrollment. That's absolutely spectacular. AP English, 37% enrollment. Science, from 23 enrollments in AP Science to 83, a 260% increase. Added the new Physics 1 course, AP Mathematics, from 30 enrollments to 82, 173% increase. How did you do? 2-year increase of 88 qualifying scores, 3 or higher in math, science, English. That's 151% increase. 2-year increase of STEM, 66 STEM qualifying scores from 33 to 99. That's a 200% increase. 2-year increase of, this is fascinating, of 158% increase in scores of 4 or higher. 4s and 5s are college level A's and B's. That's what those are. So you have more A's and B's than you had total scores in math, science, English before. And so my math director wanted me to make sure to mention Annette, your calculus teacher last year, had 7 4s and 12 5s. It was the single biggest score increase at the high-end scores in the over 50 schools that were participating with us last year. So I hope she's watching out there somewhere today because she just did great. AP English, 2-year 92% increase in qualifying scores. Just a huge increase just last year in the grade 11 course where we went from 16 to 28 qualifying scores. AP Mathematics, over 2 years, we've gone from 18 to 41 qualifying scores. Most calculus AB scores 22, statistics 13, qualifying scores ever. And like I told your students, ever is a very, very long time. So you set a new world record that will last until 2015 when you break it again. First, BC and AP Computer Science qualifying scores. AP Science, a 2-year 286%. These numbers kind of baffle after a while, but hey, it's what they are. 286% increase in qualifying scores in science, from 15 to 58 qualifying scores. Major increase in environmental science just last year, from 3 to 14 qualifying scores. It's a 366% increase. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Auburn High School. You have a wonderful high school with hardworking teachers, dedicated kids. We love the staff. Great working relationship with your great principal and superintendent. And again, look forward to having the discussion with you to keep the program going into the future. And I think we can do it for less money with a little help from the legislature, which will call on you for your support. And again, your state representative attended the kickoff assembly, which was great. Subject to your questions.
Are there any questions or comments?
I think it's incredible. Yeah, very impressive.
That's great. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
It's been
much.
a great
Thank you.
partnership, and give a lot of credit to Mr. Hanfield and his team. Obviously, Mr. Smolensky's been great. Dr. Lozay have really spearheaded this, so it's another indication of great things happening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Very
So this is a
impressive.
service that we pay for, or
We
with the help
do.
of the state, or?
Yes, it's subsidized. It was originally privately funded. They've since been asking for some public funding as well. We paid approximately, I think, $15,000 last year, but what we got in kind far exceeded that. So this now being our 3rd year, as Mr. Smolensky said, they do have a sustainment program, so we'll look to see what that's going to involve. So I'll be bringing that back to you during budget season.
And it's measured at the high school level, and they work with the middle school in some way, or?
Want to address that with the pre-AP?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually, it's part of her
Oh, okay,
presentation
that's
too,
fine.
so yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So next we're going to have Dr. Lozay present on sharing our strengths and tackling our challenges. But as tonight I think reflects, there are so many great things going on in the Auburn Public Schools of which we all should be tremendously proud at all levels.
So, good evening, everyone. I'm here again this evening, as I come every year at this time, to give you a brief overview of our MCAS achievement to date, and to also share some of the other great things that are going on in the district. And as much as we have lots of strengths to share, we realize we have some challenges that we still need to tackle, and I will address those with you briefly.
And the first challenge is the computer.
Yeah, really. So to begin with, I just want to once again reiterate our mission statement, which is to strengthen connections through rigor, relevance, and relationships. And even in that presentation by Mr. Smolinski, you will see that we have raised the rigor of the opportunities that we're providing to our students. Our shared values that we worked on diligently through the strategic plan, and as you can see down the side, you can see that it says shared. It's actually our shared values. So we believe in student-centered decision-making. We have very high expectations for all. We ensure that all our environments are safe and respectful. Every decision is based on needs and data. We have equitable opportunities for all our students, and again, we're dedicated to continuous progress. So in terms of the MCAS, one of the goals of the MCAS, and they use what they call the Progress and Performance Index for the accountability system. The major goal is to increase the number of students scoring in the advanced and proficient categories, while also decreasing the number of students scoring in the needs and improvement and warning. And therefore you get that closing of the achievement gap, which you heard we've been recognized for. Some of the highlights of this year's MCAS was that in 7 of the 17 grade levels or subjects tested, Auburn students increased the number of students scoring in those top categories, advanced and proficient, while decreasing the number of students scoring in the needs improvement. And that is over last year's scores. So every year, we're making progress. I also found it quite impressive that in Auburn, with our students, we scored in 16 of those 17 grade level or subject-specific tests at or above the state average. And we also look at the rankings of the area towns that I think Dr. Brunel has shared with you, but then we look at the total Commonwealth in all the public schools. So in 12 of those 24 categories, our students scored in the top third. And of those 12, 9 are in the top 25%. The remaining 12 scored in the 60% average range. So we are very impressed by the top 25%. The top third, you can't argue with that either. So we've done some wonderful things, and we continue to work to make sure that we are getting all our students to score in the top third and the top 25% or the top 1%. We had our way. Instead of highlighting everything in the district that we were successful in with MCAS, I just pulled out a few from each school. So the third grade students at JB scored in the top 11% of the Commonwealth schools in mathematics. That's wonderful. And their fifth grade students scored in the top 10% in mathematics. They are really up there. Our third grade Packagug students ranked in the top 13% across the state in math and the top 18% in ELA. At grade 8 at the Auburn Middle School, 82% of our students scored advanced or proficient in English language arts. That's wonderful. And then at the high school level, for our 10th grade students, which is the only grade level that takes the MCAS presently, 96% scored advanced or proficient in English. Can't get much higher than that, right? 91% in math and 89% in science and technology. That's awesome. Wonderful things to celebrate. And based on the performance of each school is given an accountability level, and those levels range from 1 to 5. And those levels determine how much support you get from DESE and how much oversight you get from DESE. So as you can see here, we continue to maintain a level 2 status as a district. We have 3 level 1 schools and 1 level 2 school. I'm happy to report, if you read the news, they were talking about how many schools had dropped from level 1 status. Auburn has, in terms of particular schools, have not dropped at any of our schools in the accountability levels. So again, as we talked about raising the rigor through the AP courses and through our pre-AP courses, and by regularly monitoring our student progress, we really anticipate that these scores will continue to improve as they have over the past few years. Some of the other initiatives that we've implemented over the last few years that have really led to those changes that you're seeing and that we continue to think are important and are based in our shared core values is the collecting of data, and then to actually examine that data and use it to inform our practice. Every building has data teams in place. They look at the MCAS scores, they look at benchmark assessments, they look at student work, and then they adjust their instruction, their interventions, or their enrichment based upon that. We continue to look at our curriculum. We want to refine it and strengthen it. We try to identify where there might be areas of weakness or gap and then address that. This summer in particular, we worked around the areas of math, ELA, science, and social studies. STEM, and it's great to hear that so many young students are performing well on those tests and going into the STEM area. That continues to be a focus here in Auburn. We have STEM Academy at the Auburn Middle School. We have a summer STEM camp in its third year that the Auburn Middle School has run. We have robotics going on at the high school. We have environmental engineering at the high school, and last year many of you saw the presentation by the students that came and demonstrated some of the work that they're doing. And engineering is elementary at the elementary schools, and from what I understand, the students are loving the hands-on approach. We continue to offer high-quality professional development. I come here every year and share a lot of the professional development that Auburn invests in, and I think we are second to none in terms of that. And as you can see here, I'm mentioning the pre-AP and AP trainings in English language arts, math, and science. This past summer, 16 teachers opted to go and spend a week being trained in pre-AP strategies. Those teachers range from grade 5 teachers to grade 12 teachers. We actually even had a special educator who went. And at those trainings, the teachers learn about strategies that will help the students be able to attack the AP kind of work that they'll have to do later on. So it's really a lot around the 21st century skills and critical thinking, analyzing and synthesizing. So it's a really strong program. We also have done a lot of work with Keys to Literacy so that there's some commonality across the district in terms of how we approach open response questions, how we critically read a piece of literature, and also this year we're looking at Keys to Literacy in terms of their writing module. We've also done vocabulary work with them. Co-teaching is ongoing, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We continue to offer technology trainings on iPads, the Flipped Classroom, and Google. We have more and more technology within the district. We also have a strong mentoring and induction program for new teachers. Way back when, there was a time when new teachers would come into the district, excuse me, and then when we would see some of our MCAS scores, it was clear that new teachers who hadn't had as much experience as some of our veteran teachers weren't faring as well with their students. So we have a very strong mentoring and induction program, and we haven't seen that as obviously as we used to see it in the past. They are each new teacher is assigned a mentor, and then they get to observe their mentor in the classroom. They meet with them weekly. They also go to monthly trainings where there is some direct instruction around classroom management type things, policies within the district, differentiated instruction. Then we also provide them anytime they want to go and observe, either in their mentor's classroom or in a colleague's classroom. So we get substitutes or coverage for them so that they can learn as they're teaching in their first year. This year and last year, actually, what we tried to do was incorporate some additional mini workshops for them at the outset of the year to kind of front load information for them around some of the policies in the district, contracts, paperwork they might have to do, technology in terms of our website, and a lot of that, as well as confidentiality, 504s, IEPs, I could go on and on. But we did that by taking them on a bus tour of the district. I know when I was a new teacher in Auburn, I knew only where my school was. I didn't know where anybody else was from. So we took them on a bus tour, and they got to stop and see each building, and they went in and had a little workshop in each of those. We continue to maintain strong communication and collaboration with our families and with the community partners. We have the parent portal is now open, I believe, at the middle school and the high school, which is a wonderful tool. We provide family picnics and ice cream socials at the elementary schools. Rockets reviews, we know, are published weekly in the news because we all contribute. There are district newsletters that are mailed home. There are one calls. We have great transition programs now between the schools. We have strong partnerships between our principals. They meet, they bring their staffs and get together, and they talk a lot about that transition to make sure that it's an easy one for everybody. We have students across the district, K-12, who are involved in community service learning projects. I think some of you have attended that display each year when we host it at the high school. And again, we have strong partnerships with the Auburn Youth and Family Services. U Inc. is now a part of our partnership. We have the Auburn Police Department, the Auburn Fire Department, and we do a lot of work with the Auburn Public Library. We're very proud of all of that. In our District K to 8, we use the PBIS, which is the Positive Behavior Intervention System. And that is a very consistent tool, so students are used to it from K on up. And then at the high school, we continue to work with Dr. Paul Petit from Boston College, which consults with the teachers there. They give surveys to students, they analyze that data, and then they make suggestions to the high school. In addition, we can't forget our Safety Advisory Committee. They meet regularly, and they often make recommendations. They help us with traffic issues, parking, all kinds of issues. And to help support all of this work, we are always looking for additional funding. So we actively look for grants, both entitlement and competitive. Those are used maybe to provide additional materials, but they're also really to look at what can we give to our students, additional supports. What can we give to our teachers, additional supports? And oftentimes for our teachers, it's time. Getting some money that we can pay them to work together as a group to collaborate on curriculum, assessment, and those important things. So presently, we have a teacher quality grant, $51,000, an academic support grant at the high school for $7,000. Title I is $209,000. We got a big yellow school bus grant for $200. Every little bit helps. And then the 240 special education grant has brought in $488,000. NIMSY grant is down to $2,000, but that's because it's in its last year. And that is what John Smolinski spoke about. And that's how we get started with advancing our AP courses, is through this particular grant, which was much bigger in its initial year. And then we had Race to the Top for 5 years, and they offered an additional application this past summer, which we applied for, and where it's given for $8,000, and that enabled us to send even more teachers than we had anticipated to that pre-AP training. As you know, and technology is growing across the district. We have more equipment, we have more software, we have more training that's then needed so that we can ensure that our teachers are effectively utilizing that in the classroom. So we are looking to train teachers on iPads. Most of them are quite familiar with their Brightlinks now or their Polyvision boards. We are bringing in software like Read Live, which really addresses fluency for our students. We have Reading A to Z, Assessments, which is used a great deal at the middle school, where you actually can formulate tests based on the standards from the Common Core standard, and they can give those. It's time consuming, but once they have the materials made, and that's what I like to say that we can use grant money for, to give them time to create those assessments. It's a wonderful tool. Some of the others we use across the district is Dibble, Study Island, Lexia. 10 Marks was actually the program we used this summer with a lot of our students for math. And then Everyday Math has a online component that we use for our students. Some people say kindergarten's too early, but I disagree. We always want to be promoting college and career right from the get-go. So we instituted a few years back a college day, where all staff members wear their alumni t-shirts or sweatshirts or hats, and it's very interesting, the conversations that those spark, and the kids seem to really like that. I noticed as I walked through buildings that there are college pendants hanging on doorways, across the hallways. I think in Mr. Lopez's I saw a few, and the middle school has many, and the other schools have some as well. Ready Step Assessment. This assessment is through the College Board, and it gives us an idea of how our students are going to do on SAT, or even I would think it would be indicative of some AP work. We used to give it at the Auburn Middle School. We've now taken it on at the Auburn High School, so the high school can see how their 9th graders are doing and really target what kinds of instructional interventions they might want to make for that. We have a career fair at the middle school, college seminar, which used to be at 1 grade, is now across all high school grade levels, which is awesome. And we've done a lot of collaboration with area colleges. And one in particular was a pilot we had last year with Sigmund Community College, where one of our high school English teachers, who was teaching AP language course, worked it out with Consig that they could also take at the same time simultaneously through an online course called English 101. So these students left this AP course not only with an AP grade, but also a grade for a college level course in 3 credits. So that was wonderful. And we're always doing college readiness presentations for staff, students, and parents. We have Dr. Loretta Holloway, who comes in every year and speaks to parents about how they can help make sure that their students are ready for that transition to college. Some other notable district successes, I should say newsworthy district successes, are that, as you heard, we have one National Blue Ribbon School in the district at Julia Bancroft. As you all said, that ceremony was outstanding. The kids are excited, the staff was excited. It's phenomenal. And kudos to Mrs. Lopez. We have two commendation schools, Packagug School and Auburn High School, were both recognized as commendation schools and given certificates, and that's, again, for closing that achievement gap. We have two innovation schools. I don't ever want to be remiss to leave out that STEM Academy. I think, as you know, we had the governor come and visit because that is such a wonderful opportunity for our middle school students. And we presently, this year, through an innovation school grant, is our first year in Freshman Academy. And Mr. Hanfield has been here in the past and talked to you a little bit about that. From what I understand in speaking with teachers, they're excited about it. They're revigorated. It's really an exciting initiative, I think, at the high school. You're all aware we brought iPads in and showed you, so there's a one-to-one iPad initiative for students in grade 8 and 9 with plans to expand that on either end. We have a modified program in place at grade 7 presently. And some of our upper-level students at the high school are using them as if they're involved in the classrooms with grade 9 students. So it's really spreading. The students are loving it. The teachers are actually loving it as well. And as we heard earlier, we have 357 high school students enrolled in AP courses. That's just phenomenal. And we have 17 advanced placement offerings presently this year. I think there's a lot to celebrate now. We do always admit that there are more challenges, and even if we were all achieving at the top level, we would think that there must be a way to get even higher than that, because we're Auburn. But one of the challenges that we are noticing as we examine our MCAS scores is that the scores of our special ed subgroup continue to lag a little bit behind. We have seen some improvements, but we anticipate that with more concentrated work in that area, that we'll see even greater gains. One of the initiatives we put in place to address this was co-teaching, and we began this, kind of phasing it in. 3 years ago, we began it at the Auburn Middle School and kind of got the elementary school's feet wet. They are now fully in their third year, and we're in year 2 at Auburn High School. And the real purpose of this is to take two experts. One is really a content expert, your teacher, and then you have a process expert, somebody who's really been trained on how to scaffold instruction for students, how to modify it, how to get them to the same place, but maybe in a little different way. We partner them up, and they bring their fields of expertise together, and it benefits our students. And another very important tool we think for us to continue to move forward as a district is the new educator evaluation tool. All of our teachers and administrators have to complete a self-assessment of their practice. And this is based on data. It's not just what they think they do. They actually have to look at their data and decide, did I do a good job at this? What evidence do I have that would support that I did a good job at this? And it's not a bad thing to say, you know what, I need a little improvement here. I'm actually going to focus on that this year. I think it's a wonderful tool for them to look at. We are promoting teen goals because every educator has to have 2 goals, and we are promoting that they do that with their teen colleagues. So maybe out of 3rd grade, they looked at some of their data and they decided as a 3rd grade, we really need to work on those DRA scores. We're not really sure that enough percentage of our kids are reaching benchmarks. So they set a goal around that. And then they create an educator plan, which is very similar to an action plan. How are we going to get there? What are we going to do different? And then we have classroom walkthroughs. The principals do those. And then they have conversations with the teachers around those, what they saw, what they might give suggestions around. And this year and last year, we began to dabble in district-determined measures, which will be assessments that we identify to help document and show student growth. But the most important part of that tool is really those conversations, and that's why it's in big, bold. Conversations about teaching and learning, they always occur, but this tool really kind of helps us define that a little tighter, and it also makes us accountable to have them. So these conversations occur between teachers and administrators, teachers and teachers, and administrators and administrators. So, upcoming events. At the November 13th school committee meeting, the principals will be here, and they will highlight the activities and initiatives underway in their schools that will help move us forward. They will also talk about their school improvement plans and their budget. All of our efforts across the district, as I think you know, focus on student achievement. We believe that teachers who believe in a student's ability actually create an atmosphere in which it becomes easier to succeed. That is a big goal of ours, to make sure that we're creating environments where everybody believes in each and every student before us. We're unconditionally committed to this. We are determined. So as you can see from all the accomplishments over the past few years, we will continue to work as a team. And I am proud to say that we are all in the midst of this.
Excellent. Any comments? Wow, Mr. Page.
Well, that's that too. But I would just like to say, it's every time you come up here and you show us all these different things, it just amazes me how good that our leadership is working with our principals and our teachers to make it better for Auburn schools. And you reach a point, but you keep going and going and going, and you keep improving. And it's just great to be a school committee member, to be able to sit here and see this happening for our children. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have a question about the STEM Academy. Is that in high school or does it start in middle school?
It is at middle school.
It's at the middle school, okay.
And they did an innovation grant, so they submitted an application for planning purposes, and they were awarded that and money to support that. And then they got an implementation grant where they actually implemented it. So they have Young Engineers Club here. We've also purchased a lot of STEM hands-on materials through Pittsco and some other vendors, so they're using that. They've used it in science classes, but they've also used it, and we have a Math 2 class, which is for students who are not that successful on the MCAS and who maybe need another dose of mathematics, but we've brought in some of this STEM learning to combine it. It's a hands-on approach, so it's a different way of getting at the math that they find more engaging, so it's been great.
So every student has experience with the STEM Academy?
They have a different piece of it,
A different
yes.
piece, okay. That's great.
Any other questions or comments? I just have a couple, Dr. Lozay. First of all, between the results that Mr. Smolinski shared.
I say.
Yeah, and what you shared, very impressive. The whole presentation was very thorough, but those results are what really stand out, the test scores. My question is, when we take part in the PARCC testing, is there going to be some type of a learning curve there? I know that what we're doing is more aligned with the PARCC test from what I'm told from Dr. Brunel. Is there going to be a learning curve there? Are we liable to see anything drop as far as test scores, results?
Okay, I'll try to break that down. There's definitely going to be a learning curve. There's going to be a learning curve for our students. There's going to be a learning curve for our staff. We're trying to be proactive around that. DESE is offering some webinars around that. We're going to one relatively soon on practice sessions for PARCC. We believe that by aligning our curriculum to the Common Core, that our students will have the skills to take it. We know that last year when we piloted it, we had Mr. Bouvier go into classrooms. He worked with teachers to actually take them through a training module, so students got the opportunity to try some of that drag and drop, how to use the equation maker and all of that. We anticipate doing that this year, probably earlier. We've learned a lot from our last year's experience. And the rest of your question in terms of do we anticipate a drop, we're actually going to be held harmless this year in terms of the scores, so we don't anticipate that happening. And we think it's a wonderful opportunity for our students to get that year under their belt before it actually will be looked at in terms of accountability.
Okay, and this is probably not a question for you, but I'm going to throw it out there because I don't see any techies out here in the audience. But are we going to be well prepared for when the testing starts? Do we see any issues with that whatsoever? I know that we have enough units to take the test, but all around, do we see that we're going to be able to jump right into this, no flaws, or what are your thoughts on that?
I guess I don't think we can ever just jump right into anything. I think we're trying to do our homework and we're trying to plan backwards and ensure that every teacher and every administrator has the training they need to ensure a smooth transition to that particular tool.
And the fact that we're held
There will
harmless,
be-
that's certainly going to help us out for this year, kind of a trial
There'll be a
period.
few challenges, but I think that we've always found a way to overcome them and learn from them, so.
Okay, well, if it becomes a financial situation, please make sure that Mr. Bouvier or yourself will bring that to Dr. Brunel so that's something that if we have to adjust the budget, we can do that, because what we don't want to see is these test scores dropping. It was really great seeing this tonight, and if we can keep that going, that would be fantastic.
Right, absolutely, we'll let you know.
And I thank you, and I thank the entire staff for that. That's just really something to be proud of. And one last question: when it comes to grant writing, who is doing the bulk of that?
I think we've distributed pretty evenly. I know I write the Title I grant and the Teacher Quality grant. I've written some entitlement grants. The special ed director writes a few grants as well. Mr. Hanfield has written some, Mr. Gagnon has written some, so we all play a role in that. We're really a team.
How about academic teachers? Do we have any of them?
Well, they actually write mini grants, so the chamber, the Auburn Chamber gives grants, so teachers have applied for those. Are there other grants that teachers that you know?
With the school bus.
Yeah,
Teachers
Yellow
do
School
that.
Bus, right?
Sturbridge Village.
Yeah, and the Sturbridge Village one, and there's also a cultural grant, I think, that teachers have input. Whenever we
Yeah.
see them, we certainly encourage it.
And I think too that in the innovation grants, the planning grants, that
That's
both
right.
at the middle school and
Yeah.
high school, there was teacher participation in that, because it really
Absolutely.
It's a
required,
team.
it was a team, right?
And all the grants you have to have a meeting to really assess the needs, so you have to include teachers in that to hear their voice before you write the grants.
Mhm. Is this something we could do for an incentive to have the teachers writing more grants, even if it was a small stipend of some sort, some extra time, so they're not doing it on their own time or the time that they would regularly be grading or planning? Is there something?
It's a great
It's-
idea, and I would say that Mr. Barber has been bringing any attention to any new grants to our attention and passing that on, so I think that that'll be another good piece of the puzzle and the teamwork that we have, so.
I think that might be a nice incentive, and you put that out in a memo and say, if there is a grant that you're interested in writing, we may be able to set aside a little bit of time, or a little bit of money, so
Sure.
that your valuable time can be used to do so.
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
And that's all I have for questions and comments, but again, thank you. That was a
Great.
fantastic presentation, and very proud of the district as a whole.
I do want to thank Dr. Lozay and the team, those who are here and those who are not. It truly is a team effort, but Dr. Lozay does a great job, as you can see, with the curriculum, the professional development, the teaching and learning, and has really made a strong impact in the district. But none of it could happen without the entire team. So I thank everybody, and do you want to address the October 10th Professional Development Day? And then you can off the hook.
She thought she was sitting down.
Don't forget. I don't know if it's part of your packet, I'm just gonna briefly go over it. So at the high school, we have a few things going on the Professional Development Day, which is this Friday. We have iPad training through EdTech Teacher, we've talked about them in the past. They're very highly regarded vendor that comes into our district. They have done things virtually for us, they are on the cutting edge of technology. So we have them coming in to work with some of the staff that was not trained in the past, that are not part of the Freshman Academy. We also have Mr. Hanfield working with the Freshman Academy. They're going to look at where they've come, what they see as strengths, what they might have to tweak and move forward on. So that will be a great opportunity for some time for them to do that. We also are looking at data and DDMs across all the different departments there. And then at the middle school, we're going to work around flipping the classroom actually. We'll offer 2 sessions because we want to train everybody, so there'll be a morning session and then an afternoon session. And then at the elementary, we're going to have Donna Simone, who has done a lot of training with the co-teaching, taking the partners that I talked about, the special ed teacher with the regular ed teacher, and training them around some inclusionary practices. Well, we've been so impressed with their work that we're going to ask her to come in and actually do that training for all our staff around the best inclusionary practices. So that'll be awesome. She'll have many elementary teachers in front of her. We will also have the co-teachers who will not need that training. They're going to work kind of as a PLC, a professional learning community, to share out some of what they have been trying based on this training, and then develop some lessons that they'll share, which will just make the work, many hands make light work. So they'll be able to share that with their colleagues. We also have A&B recertification, which is the restraint training going on. Many of our ABAs need to be recertified. We do have some staff that need to be certified, so they'll be in it for 3 days. but our research will do it on that day, the ABAs. For our IAs, we are offering 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then they'll flip. We have social thinking. A lot of our IAs work with students that have social and emotional challenges or who don't pick up on social cues. So they'll work around that, and then they'll work with Pam Kaufman in the afternoon. We call it food for thought, but it's really around confidentiality because that's so critical. Our nurses are going to be training some subs on all of the work that they do, kind of walk them through the responsibilities, show them the materials that are there, and then they're also going to work to present, to plan, how about that? I'm talking too much tonight, so, to plan some parent sessions around some topical health issues. You know, we're hearing a lot about the virus that's out there, so maybe they might have an evening to talk to parents about that and how to, you know, kind of diminish some of the fears that might be out there. The music and art departments, again, they're going to do some lesson demos with each other and actually share and do some cross-curricular work, which would be great. And we have, what else? Oh, the physical education department has written a grant, so they're gonna work on that grant for the elementary who don't have it, and then the high school is going to work on how they're gonna implement that grant, which would be great. Our guidance people are gonna join with Auburn Youth and Family in the morning to look at what kind of programs they offer that we could partner on, and then they're also gonna plan some parent trainings. And I think that's about it. We do have some counselors also working. They created this summer, they spent a lot of time creating a resource finder for each school so that if families need some additional resources, it's there for anybody, whether it's a counselor or a parent or a teacher meeting with them or the principal, they can go to that binder and find some resources to actually share with teachers. So they want to really look at that, tweak it a little bit and add some that they recently found. So that's a great opportunity. And then through the Southern Worcester County Educational Collaborative, there have been some offerings that they ask all of the members to attend if they wish to. So our OT and PT will be attending a session there on zones of regulation. So it's a full day.
It certainly is.
Thank you.
Great. I'm gonna tell them they can leave because I don't think they wanted to tell them.
Well, they might want to stay.
Maybe.
All right. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good
Good
night.
night, thanks.
That blue color suits you nicely, Mr. Dillon.
Go back to CIP.
Okay. So the capital improvement plan, Mr. Fahey, Mr. Barber, and I are seeking, each year we bring these forward to you. So we plan 5 years out, and there's also the opportunity to make amendments to the CIP that will be approved at the annual town meeting in May, which before you is the FY16 CIP. And the change that we're looking to make on this is if you look to, you would already approve the initial change at the very top for Bryn Mawr. But the only change that we're actually making now is to the high school, because the HVAC upgrades at second and third floor are being taken care of with money that was returned from the high school building project, if you remember, plus some CIP money from a previous year. We'll be able to take care of the baseball field turf upgraded installation instead. So that's our recommendation. So the bottom line value does not change, but it is our recommendation that you approve this amendment.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the amendments to the fiscal year 2016 CIP as presented by Mr. Fahey, Mr. Barber, and Dr. Brunel.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And then next we have the 2020 or the 2020 CIP, which takes us out 5 years. What you'll notice, really the largest ticket item here, you'll note that we have now brought it down to 5 schools as at time. That is what we anticipate to have. We have no money set aside for the new middle school because that will only be 4 years old at that time. But to begin
Hopefully
the
guaranteed.
right, the field turf replacement at the high school, as we've been sharing over the years, it really had about a 10 or 12 year life expectancy. and we do regular maintenance on that. So that's the largest ticket item there. We do obviously want to continue with our technology upgrades, our copier leases that we do, as well as some minor cooking equipment upgrades. So it is our recommendation, the three of us jointly, that you approve this 2020 CIP as well.
Would entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2020 CIP as presented by Mr. Fahey, Mr. Barber, and Dr. Brunel.
Do I have a second?
I'll second
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
So going along with what Dr. Lozay had reported, we do this for you annually. This is a comparison, and it includes all of the schools as voted by the school committee that you want to see comparisons made to. And as Dr. Lozay highlighted, it really shows favorably for Auburn. We continue to make great growth. This is a historical look back over the past 3 years, 14 back to 12. And I could not be prouder of our students. And by that, I also mean prouder of our faculty, and also the work and support that we get from our parents, which is unequivocal and much appreciated. So it really is a team effort, and proud of the work that's happening. The next item, keeping along with all of the great news that we had annually, I report to you those students who earn perfect scores on MCAS, which really is a remarkable achievement. And last year, if you can see here, we actually had a total of 32 overall. This year, we have a total of 50 students, some who earned perfect scores in more than one area. So for a total of 52 perfect scores that were earned, there was one at the high school, 12 at the number of students, there was 10 at Auburn Middle School and 39 students at our elementary schools, and then with the number of tests passed. So really outstanding, and I provided for you a sample letter that has gone to each of these individuals, to their families, copied to the principals, to congratulate them on really an outstanding achievement.
That really is an outstanding achievement.
It is.
Wow.
It's remarkable. Remarkable. Dr. Lozay has reported on the October 10th day, and as you heard, there are a number of really high quality opportunities that teachers will be engaged in and staff throughout the day. The grant-funded summer interns program, we wanted to provide an update for you. This was the third year that this took place. We had provided information this past spring. Students worked in the summer school program as well as with the technology director. And here I think what's most profound in this is some of the comments that our students made who participated. One student writing that what I have learned over my summer internship, that working with children with disabilities is exactly what I want to pursue as a career. And another one who said, I learned more about myself in the past 6 weeks than I have in the past 17 years. From singing the same 3 Wiggles songs every morning to getting hugs to the day, to getting hugs at the end of the day, to the giant smiles on their faces, getting off the bus every morning, realizing that not only was I changing their lives, they were changing mine, which was the greatest gift I could have received. So very touching that the kids, and it certainly is a mutually beneficial opportunity for the students, our young students, as well as our seniors, not seniors, high school students who participate. So great opportunity, great opportunity.
How did they get chosen to be a student intern?
They actually, as part of this, it's really intended to be very much a transition to work. So it's posted, they have to apply for it, they interview for it. So it's really a great opportunity that way.
Yeah.
And it's funded through both our 240 grant as well as some Medicaid funding. So it's great.
It does seem wonderful.
It is. It's a great program. I included in here, Ms. Jacobson, town manager, has started, you'll remember back at our joint meeting of Board of Selectmen, Finance and School Committee in January of 14, that there was the suggestion that a reuse committee be established. Now certainly this is in preparation for when the school committee may take the vote to turn those back to the town. So it really is just to start the thinking around this, and I think it's a wise idea. The master plan team, we also have been looking at this about, are there some helpful hints that we can get from other school districts who have done the same, so I will certainly share that. But as you notice on the memo included, The composition of this advisory group will be a member of the Board of Selectmen, a school committee member, a member of Finance Committee, a school department representative, the Director of Development and Inspectional Services, and 2 residents. And what they're hoping for are a neighborhood resident, both from the Mary D. Stone and Julie Bancroft areas. So I bring this to you tonight to seek your nomination of a school committee representative to serve in this capacity.
Okay, why don't we, with a show of hands, see who is interested in this position? Who's one? Oh, okay. Well, that yeah, you win pretty much. I would.
You don't
I
wanna
would-
give us a speech?
I would entertain a motion to nominate Ms. Sutton.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Do I have a second?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Is there any discussion?
No, you'll be great.
Yes.
Go get them.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
That's great. Congratulations. I
Excellent.
will
Thank you
let
very much.
Ms. Jacobson know. That's wonderful. Thank you.
We now move on to unfinished business.
We wanted to share with you, this is a copy of the actual warrant that has been mailed out to town meeting members in anticipation, I believe it was going out on Monday, in anticipation of the October 21st special town meeting. I did want to share with you 2 slight amendments that were made. The first one was truly a Scribner's error. I had input it incorrectly. Rather than it being $57,312, it should have been $57,613, and that number has been validated with Mr. Casanova and certainly Mr. Barber. The second one was to, instead of using available funds, in fact, there weren't any this year to be had, according to Ms. Jacobson and Mr. Kazanovich. So we did determine that there was a school restitution account. This was actually from an issue that had taken place prior to my arrival here as superintendent. But what we did is sought through all legal channels to get money restored back to the school district, as well as any penalties and fees. So this is that full amount. So this amount of $20,432.61, I think it's in a perfect use to make updates to the Packagug playground. So those were the 2 minor changes that were made, and we're hopeful that they will be supported by town meeting on the 21st. I did include, and you see here in the packet, this is also being mailed to town meeting members so they have an explanation about what it is that we're seeking on those, as well as the ones you've already approved for the accelerated repair program. School Building Committee, we have our next meeting actually Tuesday, the 14th, so we will provide an update for you at the meeting on the 15th. But we did have a public hearing, as I had noted to you previously, regarding the West Street expansion. We had one neighbor who did attend the meeting. It was televised, so I would hope that it's playing on local cable channel. I do want to thank Mr. Coyle, as well as Mr. Needler from Skanska, who was in attendance, as well as other Skanska representatives. VHB, Brian Brosnan was here. He is the engineer working out front on the site plan. It was an informative program, I believe.
Do we need to get a vote on this? Did I miss something?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, we should. I'm sorry.
We did discuss it.
We did. Yeah.
Maybe I didn't jump in when I was supposed to. I would entertain a motion to approve the amend warrant article, which changes the funding source for the Packagug Playground from general fund revenues to the school restitution account.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. We now move on to business and financial. Did I miss something?
New business.
New
yeah.
business.
So the upcoming events here, just a reminder regarding the fall special town meeting, and we have another school committee meeting next week, and a reminder to all our families, there'll be an email notification going home tomorrow, but that there'll be no school on Friday due to professional development, and a long weekend because of the Columbus Day holiday being observed on Monday.
Mr. Page?
I had requested information on how many students are doing lunches and who are not paying for lunches anymore.
It's at the next meeting.
Is that the next?
Yes,
meeting?
we'll have
Okay,
it available on the
I just
15th.
want to make sure
Yep.
it's there.
It is.
Anything else on the new business?
Yes, I'd like to thank the people that do this marvelous newsletter. It's the first time I've read it. They didn't have that a few years ago when I was teaching. And I just read through it all, and I was so impressed with the amount of information in it. And it just on and on and on and on, and I'm like, who does this? This is unbelievable. It's such a task to put all of this together, and this must be done, what, quarterly or?
It is. It's done quarterly. We have individuals. This one is really submissions from the central office team or the superintendent's cabinet team specifically who present. But people send their articles to Mrs. Zotner here, who does a phenomenal job. Publisher is not an easy program. It can be quite frustrating sometimes. She puts it all together tremendously, and then we work and edit it 15 or so times, it seems, or so, but it's very informative, and we send it out widely to our families, and I share it with Ms. Jacobson as it's presented to, and ask her to forward to Board of Selectmen and Finance and anyone else she'd like to share it with, so it is great, thank you.
Oh, excellent.
But Mrs. Zotner does a fabulous job.
Mr. Page?
I'd like to recommend, if that's possible, to have another walkthrough through the schools before the budget season, so the new members can
Yeah.
actually see what's going on and how things are running and what they feel they may think that we need or don't.
Okay.
Thank you, that's an excellent suggestion.
We can do that. Probably what I'll have Mrs. Zotner do, if this is okay with all of you, have her contact you to get some dates and try to find some that are in common, and we'll just coordinate that with the school, so it'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I enjoyed the last visit. It was around the holiday season.
It was.
And it was nice because we got to go to a very special part of the high school where some of the
Oh, that was
students
great.
were taking care of some of the other students and throwing them a Christmas party, and it was really a fantastic thing. And maybe we should look at some dates around that time.
Okay, that was nice.
Not to say that we have to attend that Christmas
Sure.
party, but that was one of the highlights for
It
me.
was, it was,
Just
yeah.
as we talked
were there
about
too.
earlier
Yes.
tonight
Yeah.
Yeah,
with
It was
the
good.
with the
He's right.
student interns and
absolutely.
how they have an effect on those other students and vice versa. And it's just it's really a feel good story.
Yeah, it was.
So maybe we'll look at some dates around the holidays if that's not too far off for you guys.
That's fine with me.
Sure.
Excellent. Thank you. We now move on, I believe, to business and financial.
Good evening, everybody. I have a couple of items. It's all pretty much informational for this evening. The first item is regarding Circuit Breaker. For those of you that aren't aware what Circuit Breaker is an appropriation we get from the state, and it allows for us to basically cover costs affiliated with special education, primarily for the tuition costs, and we use that funding for it. The Department of Elementary Secondary Education, a lot of times you'll hear us call it DESE, issued for us that for the 2015 fiscal year, we're going to be entitled to a total of $609,226. That's made up of approximately it's a 72% of reimbursement based on our 2014 expenditures that we had submitted for eligibility. In doing so, we usually will receive, or in essence, 4 equal installments of that appropriated, for instance, in September and December and so forth. In some cases, we usually have an adjustment come the fourth quarter, and again, this is just for informational purposes. We'll usually find out somewhere around April if there's additional funds that the state might have for that particular purpose, and then at some point in time, they'll identify that, let us know, and then we might have an increase in the fourth quarter, but it's not always, but sometimes. So just for informational purposes. Also, similar to last month and going forward, you'll see this usually about the first school committee meeting each month is our pro-pay update. Based on the costs that we submit on a monthly basis through the MSBA or the Mass School Building Authority, I submit electronically online the appropriations for those costs that we incurred for a month at a time that's approved from our construction committee. This past month, or for the month of September, we submitted a total appropriation of $1,965,678 that was expended for the project last month. And so in the handout that you have, you'll actually see a copy of what the MSBA payment request submission reports are. And again, this is compiled of, at this point in time, we've submitted 21 payments as of right now. And again, this is only a monthly submission that we make. But again, just for informational purposes, so you'll see down below on September 25th, for example, that's when we made that submission. Okay. The third item tonight that I'm going to discuss is very similar to what Dr. Jose had discussed earlier. It's regarding our federal grants for 2015's fiscal year. As of this particular point in time, we physically have been awarded from DESE, Department of Secondary and Elementary and Secondary Education, 3 federal grants that we physically already have in hand. The first one in reference is Title I. We've received the appropriation of $209,628 that they've awarded for us for this fiscal year. Our Title IIA grant, that's approximately a $50,774 grant award that they've approved for us. And then we have our IDEA grant, which is again under special educational requirements and so forth, and that was for a $487,908 appropriation that we were awarded. Do you have any questions regarding the grants?
Any questions? No.
And as we go along during the school year, additional grants that come up that we were awarded, obviously I'll give you that informational review just as far as what the grants are and how much we've been awarded.
Did we get those grants last year?
Yes,
Oh.
all 3 of those grants are federal grants that, for the most part, you're never guaranteed a grant to be there year after year after year. In most cases, depending on the ongoing functions and activities that you have in your school district, a lot of the awards, especially the federal ones, are more than likely to renew or to have an appropriation each fiscal year. But there's certain stipulations that are impacted by those grant awards. These 3 grants, especially Title I, for instance, are ones that you would usually see more often than not from a federal grant distribution.
Just on the subject of the middle school, Mr. Barber, any overages or any unseen costs or any issues that really stand out? I mean, I know there's always going to be small items.
I know, for instance, that this morning's committee meeting, we had a discussion regarding the relocation of the lights out in our right here on West Street, and the poles to be relocated to allow for the expansion of the road and then also for the sidewalks to be put in place. I know that estimate for the proposal came in at approximately $145,000. That was obviously one of those hypotheticals that we weren't really expecting to be at that large amount. Unfortunately, those appropriations were almost in a bucket allocation that was identified, so a portion of that appropriation that was identified for the construction project for West Street is going to obviously have to encumber that much of the liability, because that's obviously one of those items that we definitely need to have put in place.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have streetlights and we don't have the sidewalk, obviously, there's other jeopardies that are put in place. So it's going to be definitely something that was going to be presented to the construction committee next week.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing right now that I would say that's been pretty much popped up out of nowhere. I know that there have been a lot of meetings with respect to the colors and so forth and the schematics within the building facilities. Those haven't really encountered any larger increases or modifications to the appropriations. Those are, I guess, more of the fun parts of the project that that Dr. Virinelli gets to actually obviously sit and help select and so forth. But at this particular point in time, that's probably the biggest item that's really been a standout amongst the other appropriations and the other expenses that have come in at this particular point in time.
Okay. Well, yeah, a lot of us don't get a chance to attend those other meetings, or nor do we get a chance to follow up or be briefed on them. So yeah, anytime you come up with something like that, that financially that we should know about or may like to know about, just throw it at us, or maybe I'll ask again as we move along.
If you like, what we can do is, because for the most part, especially with the financial section, I've kind of designated a certain week or the 2-week meetings per month as far as what we're going to disclose to you. And obviously, usually the construction committee meeting doesn't happen until closer towards the end of the month. So what we can do is we can put that on a particular file for us for each of the first meeting of each month to basically give you updates as far as how any of the expenditures or the other items that have come up during the construction process. Especially because you consider we have another 8 months of it probably before we're going to have it completed. So it can be extremely
I'm not
informational.
looking for a lot of information. Just
We'll
something
keep
that
it simple.
stands out.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I do want to share, Mr. Page is a member of the committee, will hear next week at the construction meeting today. They're actually doing the brick veneer. You can see as you head further west. If you look back, you can see they've actually been starting drywall in some of the sections and things. So it really is moving right along. It's really great. Really great.
How about, on that note, Dr. Brunel, how about a small presentation here for the school committee?
Sure.
What do you think of that?
Sure, we can absolutely arrange that. We'll have Mr. Moore come in with the color board. We may even be able to arrange that for next Wednesday. It's really nice, and I know that we took a tour. I'm actually going to be coordinating some tours. Mr. Gagnon recently took his department chairs on a tour to get them excited because they've seen it on paper, and it's very different walking through the building. So I do intend to take the leadership team out there for a tour, and I also want to reach out to. There was a group of individuals who really spearheaded and worked hard to get the middle school approved. So I want to reach out to them and before the real cold weather comes. So I've looked at some dates, or Mrs. Zotner has found some for me. So I'll be reaching out to them next week, and you're all obviously welcome. Probably it'll be like a 3:30 in the afternoon type thing because we have to coordinate it with Fontaine.
Oh, sure.
You'll have to wear a hard hat. I have plenty of extra ones. They're very complimentary looking to wear. Or some of you already had them on, and we can take a tour.
That sounds great. I look forward to it.
Good.
Is that all, Mr.
That's
Bauer?
all.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good job. We now move on to policies.
So it's actually, we don't have any policies for you this evening, but we do have one item under personnel for job description. Mike Marino, who's been with the district for a number of years, has actually submitted his resignation. He's going to be taking a position with the town of Auburn. Bill Waterman, who had served in that capacity as their director of technology, recently resigned. So we're happy for Mr. Marino. It is a promotion for him, which is great. But as we post for this position, we made some minor tweaks to his job description as technology and network support specialist. Mr. Bouvier, who's our tech director, was heavily involved in the creation or the revision of this. So it is my recommendation that you approve it as written.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the updated job description for the technology and network support specialist job description.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. And we do not need to go into executive session. Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Yes. I think we'll
Anyone
all
want to discuss that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.